Right now, it's time for a business update. I'm joined here by our business editor, Stephen Carroll. Very good morning to you.
Hi, Catherine.
And you're going to start us off with almost a week on, the markets still rattled by the unexpected for them result of the US election last week, particularly being seen in the bond markets.
Yeah, we've seen it sort of cycle through the various areas of trading, and it seems to have settled somewhat on bond markets. More than $1.5 trillion has been wiped off the value of bonds since last week. A wave of selling hit the markets since Donald Trump was elected. Now, experts say the markets are betting that Trump's policies will boost inflation and interest rates, which in turn will make those bonds less valuable. That sent the yield or return on those bonds up, making it more expensive for governments and for companies to borrow money. Now, those yields had been near record low levels in recent months, so although it's a big increase, it won't have too much of an impact. We have seen somewhat of a pause in this sell-off this morning, so the market's trying to decide what to do next.
Well, from bond markets to stocks and shares, the stock markets have been generally enjoying quite a good run. However, quite a big standout among that, technology shares have been suffering, and pretty badly.
So if you look at the Dow Jones index on Wall Street, it closed at a record high on Monday, the third day in a row of record finishes on Wall Street. But then when you look at the Nasdaq or the broader S&P 500, the picture is a little bit less rosy. Now, Nasdaq is where most of the major technology firms are listed, and their shares have been suffering since Donald Trump was elected. Attention's been mainly focused on a group of companies known as FANG: Facebook, Amazon, Netflix and Google. Those firms down by more than 8% since last week. There's more than one factor explaining that. Traders saying it could be potential changes to trade policy or to immigration under Donald Trump that have caused investors to take fright. What we do know, though, is what is bad for those technology firms is bad for the market in general. Tech firms make up half of America's top 10 most valuable companies. They are an important sector.
Indeed, and what an acronym, FANG. I'm going to remember that one. What about the markets more broadly today?
In Europe today, we're seeing gains at the open here in Europe. Technology shares underperforming again, though, compared to the general trend of that open, as you can see, of upper end between 1/3 and 0.5% on European markets. Mining companies are the big losers today. They've been hurt by the stronger value of the dollar. Over in Asia, falls on most markets. India's stock market, though, seeing falls of over 1% and just some small gains on the Hang Seng in Hong Kong.
All right, let's talk about something that I'm sure many of our viewers are interested in. Pay rises. Are you going to be getting one in the new year? We'll wait and see. Company bosses here in France have had quite a good year for their pay packets, haven't they?
The average pay, I should say, for a chief executive at one of France's biggest listed companies rose by 18% last year. The figures from a study conducted by the investment firm Proxinvest showed the average pay was €5 million for one of those bosses last year. Now, these rises may soon become a thing of the past, though, as a new law is giving shareholders a say on executive pay. Josh Fardy has the details.
Towers of finance reaching to the sky, reflecting the astronomical pay of the CEOs inside. In 2015, French bosses of companies in the stock market index CAC 40 took home 18% more money than the previous year. In third place, Renault-Nissan's Carlos Ghosn with €15.6 million. In second place, Ruby CEO Gilles Gobin. And at the top, Olivier Brandicourt at Sanofi with his €16.8 million, including a €7 million Golden Hello. Meanwhile, in the UK, the average CEO of a CAC 40 equivalent firm takes home €7.7 million. In France and Germany, it's around €5 million on average. Spanish CEOs get only €1.6 million. Some in France, like the CEO of Schneider Electric, Jean-Pascal Tricourt, earned €10.4 million, up the previous year by 86%, despite his company making less profits in 2015. Analysts say this has now become regular practice.
When the results are not good, these CEOs say it's not their fault. When the results are good, they say it's thanks to them. This type of reasoning causes a sort of drift.
New legislation in France aims to curb these boardroom excesses, which have been met with indignation by employees who've not seen their pay rise at the same rate. From 2017, CEOs' salaries will have to be approved by company shareholders.
Just a couple more business stories for you from today. The airline EasyJet reporting profits of £495 million pre-tax for the full financial year. Now that's down by more than a quarter on last year. The carrier has been hit by a downturn in passengers due to terrorist attacks in Europe, as well as a sharp fall in the value of sterling. The company says the uncertainty is likely to remain in the coming year. And losses at Vodafone have doubled in the first half of its financial year to almost €5 billion. That's as the British telecoms operator took another huge write-down over its business in India. Revenues at the firm down by 4% over the past 6 months.
All right, that rounds up business. Thanks so much, Stephen Carroll, our business editor. Back with you a bit later on in the day here on France 24.